Hello there everybody, WhatCulture's Adam Clery here. Welcome back to another exciting episode of NXT Ups and Downs. And even in this era of wrestling feeling like the least important thing in the whole world, wrestling really felt like the least important thing in the whole world last night. The thing is, with America currently undergoing the most necessary and vital protests it has had for a generation, and WWE publicly acknowledging their support of that, despite the role they've played in getting us to this point, spoon-feeding us 2 hours of warm, sloppy sports entertainment felt, I don't know, like a bad distraction. Still though, if the trivial matter of a global health crisis isn't, and notice the present tense there, enough to get them to put a couple of reruns on, nobody was assuming that this would be either. Plus, there's a pay-per-view of sorts to build towards, as well as the very exciting conclusion to the did we exploit 40 million job losses for the sake of a wrestling angle tournament? In all seriousness though, if you have found the last couple of days incredibly taxing on your energy, on your mental health, on anything, then you could do a lot worse than take 2 hours for yourself to enjoy some professional wrestling. Like, the politics of being on and engaged all the time are as complex as all the other politics, so yeah, NXT is a bit of a distraction at the minute, but it's as good a one as any. So with all of that out of the way, my name is Adam Clery. Hashtag on Thursdays we wear yellow. Come in, sit down, make yourself comfortable, because these are all the ups and downs for this week's episode of NXT. Okay, so we open up with Mia Yim versus Mirror Universe Candice LeRae in a match that, despite a few sloppy moments, I thought was really good. Like, when you watch enough wrestling, your brain becomes conditioned to sort of know when you're seeing a match and when you're seeing a match that is setting up a match, and despite the fact this was obviously the latter, it's pretty good. Now, my guess has been for weeks now that we're going to get a mixed tag team match between Gargano LeRae and Yim versus Lee, eventually leading to a North American Championship match somewhere down the line. And while I will pat myself on the back for getting the structure right, I did have the time frame all off. We got a double count out which made way for an all-out brawl between all the also-rans in the women's division. And just by the way, is it not amazing how impactful those mass brawls can be when they're not happening every single week? Before Keith Lee and Johnny Gargano, they come out to separate their lady friends from any untoward peril, / getting a potato in the face from Raquel Gonzalez. And then of course Regal gets on the blower and he goes, "You've ruined my bloody opening match, boys. You're all gonna have to have a mixed tag team match now, so get yourselves in that ring." And we get another exciting installment of a previously well-built feud. I liked all of this. I liked the mess, I liked the energy, I liked the synergy, handshakes all round, and an up. Oh yes, sorry, hang on. Yes, I've just been informed per General Manager William Regal that this match will get its entire own entry in this week's Ups and Downs. Ring the bell. Now, despite Johnny Gargano's protestations that he was not dressed for a wrestling match, I mean, literally the guy was wearing skinny jeans and his shagging jacket, we got the natural next installment of this feud between Mr. and Mrs. Yimitless, love that name, and the world's worst dinner party. There is already a genuine satisfaction to be had every single time someone gets their hands on these two little worms. I maintain this heel turn is high art, and just to prove how good it is, they even took WWE's most eye-rolling, overused, cliched finish and made it good. We hate the roll-up, we hate the distraction roll-up finish, it's so dumb, it makes wrestlers look so idiotic, but what they did here was that Johnny Gargano hits Keith Lee in the eyes with his car keys, and then when Mia Yim runs over to make sure he isn't blind, she gets rolled up. That's some work up as well. Now I wonder what Dexter Lumis could be drawing there. Actually, no, wait, sorry, I've seen the ratings, he isn't drawing at all. Now, yes, it is me, Adam Clery, outspoken critic of the NXT Championship storylines thing that have been going on during all of this, and while it is a bizarre feud that nobody's really been asking to see any more of, you trust in the process with NXT. They delivered an incredible video package that, alright, yeah, might have made me excited for this match. Like the initial thing of Dream's return, going after Strong, and then doing the, aha, I was after Cole all along, leading to a really underwhelming television main event. It's been a complete non-entity, this, but you now kind of get it, don't you? This story is about Velveteen Dream being a prodigy, a young prodigy on this brand, but nobody really knowing the heights he's capable of reaching, and a champion who is almost unbeatable, but his only weakness is his overconfidence. It took us a while to get there, but that's quite an interesting story. But the more interesting story going on in all of this is that of Roderick Strong and the breakup of the Undisputed Era. It might happen in your house, it might not happen for another year, I don't know, but every single week you see another little piece being put into that puzzle. Adam Cole completely overlooking him in his own feud when all of this started, him walking in front of the word strong to talk about how great he was on last week's episode. Even little stuff, like right as Cole begins to talk about how great he is during this dinner party, it loses focus on Roderick Strong. There's craftsmanship in how this is being put together. I really like it. This gets an up. Couple of wonderful little visual motifs in all of this. After Undisputed Era did a great recreation on what all WhatCulture podcasts are like at the minute, the other week they also did a great recreation on what every single WhatCulture night out is like, or used to be like. Do you remember going out? Also, two things here. One, Kyle O'Reilly in that hat. Okay. And two, Velveteen Dream looks into the mirror and sees Prince. Alright, yeah, lean into it, I guess. Now, wouldn't you just know it, you cruiser wait all day for a bus and then two come along at once, eh? Eh? God. Now, all I wanted in this entire Cruiserweight Championship tournament was for the people involved to have actual stories on the way out of it, for them to have an actual platform to showcase themselves as characters as well as professional wrestlers. Now, 3 months ago, Isaiah Swerve Scott versus Tony Nese is a 10-minute televisual non-entity. You wouldn't have seen them in weeks, then they have a match, then you wouldn't see them for weeks after that. But here, and with the inclusion of Peaky Blinders Ed Sheeran, I might add, there feels like narrative, and it's 10 times better as a result. Up, stiff strikes, really tight shoot holds, and a throw into the ring steps that would have made Nia Jax wince. This was really captivating stuff, and it couldn't have happened without the story that was built in the tournament. So, hooray for everyone! Breezango's entrance in this match. Up. That's it. Just up. Alright, to the actual match. And do you remember when we did not have a tag team division on this show? Because I surely do. For what felt like about a million years, Undisputed Era had those belts because there was just nobody else you could conceivably put them on. They won the things in October 2019 and then defended them twice in the entire rest of that year. You can't remember what those two matches are, can you? No, I couldn't. And yeah, do you know what? Since dropping them in February, it's not like we've had loads and loads and loads of Tag Team Championship matches, but it does feel like we've had loads and loads of Tag Team Championship contenders. Like, obviously, the Undisputed Era, they're there. Imperium are there too. They dropped them to Matt Riddle and Pete Dunne. There was also Matt Riddle and Timothy Thatcher. Grizzled young veterans, they were excellent. Only Lorcan and Danny Burch have always been around. Breezango now. Christ, even Everrise, it's a division. Even the big beefy Bivin boys were here for some reason this week. I love this. Now, yes, Breezango might not have been everybody's first choice for the championship match at In Your House, but think about it as a clash of styles with Imperium, and you've got an incredibly entertaining match. Think about what they did in this match to get that shot, and you've got an incredibly entertaining match. Will it be one for the ages? Will it be a classic? I suspect not, but this triple threat gives me hope, and I give it an up. It's my job. In fact, you know what? Breezango were the best thing on the show this week, in my opinion, so they get the yellow jacket. Kapow, I don't know where that goes, but that does leave me needing a jacket because it is mighty cold in here. So, also in honor of Breezango, yes, ladies and gentlemen, long-term viewers will be familiar with the space jacket. Wow, gosh, Adam, this all seems to be going really well. Do you think maybe NXT's on for another clean sweep of ups this week? No. And in fairness, the first down we get this week, I take full responsibility for because it was my fault for praising it last week. Just 7 days since the Robert Stone brand felt like it finally made sense on this show. He got his client into a match he didn't deserve to be in, and she'd used that to the best of her advantage, and she'd raised her stock massively as a result of the representation she had. Chelsea Green sacks him for some reason. Then, of course, said manager, in a bit of despair, goes down to ringside to sort of half-manage the woman whose inquiries he rejected last week, which made no sense whatsoever. A woman who was finally developing her own character on the brand and didn't really need something like this. But oh well, I guess if she's going to work with Robert Stone, at least that means she's going to win the match. Ah, no! She lost this match. None of this makes sense. Thing is, Aaliyah actually losing is the biggest problem here because she's finally started to get a sense of character to show some real improvement in ring, but she hasn't won a match since March 2019. Now, it's fine to lose all the time when you haven't got a character because, well, who really cares? But when you have got a character, that kind of losing streak becomes synonymous with your character. So Robert Stone being a big loser, and now Aaliyah being a big loser, What is this story beyond simply, here are two big losers? Didn't make any sense. So yes, unless they're building to some massive baby face winning streak where she beats Chelsea Green for some reason at a pay-per-view, I have no idea what this is. It's a complete mess. It's getting it down, but I will say, Santana Garrett, you are very good. Alright, really quick one now. Imagine devising an entire segment designed to get two of your heels some really good momentum and heat heading into their pay-per-view matches, only for the actual end... Sorry. Hello? Cameron Grimes hasn't got a match this Sunday. He beat Finn Balor fairly clean and they just haven't given him anything to work with as a result. Well, that doesn't make any sense. Alright, anyway, imagine devising an entire segment designed to get one of your heels some heat heading into a pay-per-view this Sunday and somebody else something to do, and the only result you actually get is everybody just kind of feels sorry for the other man in the middle. Was anybody who watched this match expecting anything other than Bronson Reed to physically dominate Cameron Grimes, only to then get caught with a cave-in and lose? No. Did Karrion Kross attack him at the end do anything to really further this match with Ciampa on Sunday? No, this was not long enough to be entertaining and it was not impactful enough to be useful. It gets a down. Right, here we go then. And before I start, I just want to say, I promise you, if you are bored of listening to this, I am twice as bored of having to talk about it. The Drake Maverick job on the line angle has been one of the biggest creative missteps in NXT history, and it has now overshadowed what was an otherwise fantastic tournament. Despite being undeniably the best match in the entire tournament, and I suspect probably Maverick's best match in his entire career in North America, it pales in insignificance next to the fact that they have deliberately exploited the emotional turmoil of 40 million Americans who actually lost their jobs for real as a result of all of this. Like, that's what they've done here. Now, just to be clear here, can you do a match in which a wrestler must win in order to save his career? Yes, of course you can. It's one of the oldest tropes in pro wrestling. But should you do that in the midst of the biggest unemployment crisis since the Great Depression? An unemployment crisis which is now partially contributing to the anger being felt on the actual streets of America by hundreds of thousands of protesters? Jesus fucking Christ, man, no! Do you know what dawned on me today? The worst thing about all of this is think back to that night when they announced that over 20 wrestlers, and God knows how many other members of the production staff, were getting released. What was the media coverage? It was this video of Drake Maverick. This was the best summation of the genuine pain they had caused people, and every other voice that was speaking up that night got pushed to the back because it wasn't as gut-wrenching as this. That was a work. WWE had a performer cut a tearful promo designed to channel the pain people were feeling in order to silence everybody else. To take the mic away from them, to take the airtime away from them, to take the webpage space away from them. That was a work. This is just the most loathsome industry in the world. Down! So there you have it. Those are all the ups and downs for this week's episode of NXT. And what a bummer to end on. Let me know what you made of them all in the comments below. Of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I have, of course, been Adam Clery. Please do look out for yourselves out there. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. And I'll see you soon. Goodbye.